Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
If I can inspire one person that maybe it's going through some challenging times or having a hard time with whatever, and then come across my book and read my story, and that person gets better and do a good thing to his or her life, I think it was worth what I went through to publish this book.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Great leadership isn't accidental, it's intentional. In Care to Lead, Alex Draper reveals the key to building high-performing, people-first environments at work and at home through the powerful CARE equation: clarity, autonomy, relationships, and equity. Ready to lead and influence with impact? Grab your copy now at alex-draper.com and start your journey to better leadership today. Hi, Janete. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yay, I am so excited. So quick backstory. Janete and I have known each other for about 4 months-ish, I think. We connected in a networking community called Entrepreneurial League. And then we found out we had something very important in common. We're both Brazilian. So
we are now soul sisters.
Yay! So we instantly bonded and we've been working together, and she has a phenomenal story. Oh my gosh. Just sit back and relax because there's lots of amazing things to hear, plus her book, which she's going to talk about as well. But anyways, I'll be quiet now and I will let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
I am Janete Teixeira Parente. I was born and raised in South Brazil. I moved to America about 25 years ago, and I'm a business owner in New Jersey. I do medical billing. And I also just published a memoir where I detail my journey from the small town in Brazil to America.
And what a powerful memoir it is. I keep saying it needs to become a movie sometime. And we'll get to the book. We'll get to the book in a little bit. Tell us more about this journey of coming to America. It's always fun to hear from fellow immigrants and especially fellow Brazilians how this happened.
Yeah, so I did not have the intention to ever move to America. I came to Disney in 1998, I believe it was. And I was at Disney for a week and I thought it was beautiful and everything. But in my mind, I thought, I'll never live in America. This is not my place. It's nice to come here and visit. It's beautiful, but no, that's not for me. But yeah, I went back to Brazil and I was working at Siemens Telecommunications. And I had an opportunity to advance in my career at the company, but I did not speak English. English was a requirement. And in school, I was never a good student in English. I was good in math, chemistry, and physics, things that I really liked, but not English. English was not the subject. I enjoyed it, and I thought I would never need it. Yeah, until I need it.
Yeah.
And so then I actually started taking some English classes in there, but going to school just once a week and for an hour and then not speaking the language didn't really do anything for me. So I decided to come to America, and my initial thought was, well, I'll go there for a year and I'll learn the language and I'll be back here. And hey, we have a plan and God has another one. And then here I am 25 years later.
Oh my goodness. And many things happened in these 25 years, which is all in your book. But tell us more about the business then, and you coming from a small town in Brazil, not speaking English, to moving to America and eventually starting your own business and now having your business for several years with employees. How did that come about?
Well, I never thought about being a business owner. I mean, when I was a kid, a teenager, working at the farm, I wanted to leave the farm, which I did when I was 14 years old. And I wanted something better to myself, but I never thought about being a business owner and having employees. Um, so I never thought about, I mean, when I was in school, when I was like fifth grade, I would sell sweet potatoes to my to the principal of my school. I think that was a layer of entrepreneurship in there, but that's all I had.
Mhm.
And then I came to America and I basically went from the operating room to an office, and I met this wonderful family of doctors that gave me an opportunity to work in their office. And then from there, I went to school at the beginning to become a medical assistant, but everything was perfect when we were in class. But when we started going to the lab and then start doing injections and drawing blood, I knew right there that was not for me at all. So I went to the school and I asked if I could change the program because it was just a short program, and then they said that I could. So I transferred to medical billing, and I learned, the billing. And then at the doctor's office, I had the opportunity to work with a friend of mine that was doing the billing for the doctor, and she basically taught me everything. And then she left and gave me the opportunity to work for the doctor, and then the rest is history. That's where I started.
So you started with having a medical condition, having to go and have a procedure done, a surgery, and then you started working for that family. Tell us what.
Yes, yes. So before I met this family, I was working with another family that happens to be from Iran, and I was in their house, and I needed, I had this pain on my left side, and I had to go to the doctor, and then she took me to a doctor from her, the same country, which was
Yeah.
Iran also. And so then I was there one day, the next day I was in the OR.
Wow.
And I remember the doctor asking me, "Do you know why you're here?" And at the time, with my broken English, I said, "Yes, I am here for surgery." I don't even know if I said like that, but yes. And then I woke up, I woke up like the surgery was done. And then 1 or 2 weeks later, I went to the office for a post-op surgery. And then I met the doctor's wife. And then she asked me what I did for living. At the time, I was just told her I'm here just learning English and I'm working for this family. She said, "Well, I need help. Do you think you could help me?" So I went back and I spoke with my employer, and I asked her, the possibility of working once a week for her. And then she said yes. And then I started working for her. And then as I started learning English, I was able to communicate with her. And then eventually they thought I could work in their office, and I started working in the office. I learned everything, and from booking surgeries to call insurance companies, and I was fascinated with the numbers because numbers is something that I really like. And when I went to school for medical billing, I thought, oh, that's what I can do. And then the opportunity just came that I could open my own business, and that's how I did.
Oh my gosh, what a journey. And there's so much more to the journey too. And that's where I want to go is talking more about the book. What inspired you to write it? And then I also want you to tell a little more because I've read the book. I want you to tell us a little more about the story, the humble beginnings and all of that, which paints even a better picture of how far you have come. So tell us about the inspiration and getting to start from medical billing to then being an author and writing a book.
Numbers are right in writing. Yeah, so before COVID, I was a member of network group called BNI, Business Network International. And as I started, I was meeting with everybody at the group and telling them my story. And then as I started telling everybody my story, I realized I had to go back to where I came from and tell my journey and where I am today. And then as I was telling them, I realized I was telling to a stranger my story, but I was not telling to my nephews and nieces. And I thought that I did not want my nephews and nieces just to know the aunt that arrives in Brazil with gifts for them, but I want them to know the real aunt, my story, where I came from, what I did to be where I am today. And that's where I started, the brainstorm of writing. And I had no idea how to write, where to start, but I did, and it took a very long time to have this project accomplished, but I did.
Oh, I love that so much that you wanted to do it for your family, but now you are making so many connections because of writing this book. And typically, well, and I speak for myself too, um, even though I share my story in my book, the book has the underlying message of teaching some principles in terms of business building. So it's not a memoir, it's self-help, but it's not a memoir. But yours is purely a memoir where you walk people through the beginnings and where you are right now. And there's different chapters to your story and the book, obviously. How was the writing process for that in writing something so personal, so many things that happened to you? Was it difficult at times?
It was very difficult. First, I'm not a writer. I wrote my story, but writing your own story is very emotional and very challenging because you have to go back to your past and you have to relive those stories all over again. And it was really, really difficult. In first, I wanted to write in Portuguese. So I kind of started writing Portuguese first, but because I speak English and write English every day, and obviously writing a book, a memoir, it has nothing to do with writing letters for insurance companies. They're two different two different things. And it was like so difficult because I started writing Portuguese, then I realized no, I cannot write in Portuguese. It has to be in English. So then I wrote in English first, and then I translated into Portuguese.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of the most difficult projects that I have ever done.
Mhm. Oh my goodness. And now you have it in English and in Portuguese. Tell us the name of the book, and I'll make sure to link it in the show notes.
The English is the dirt road, in Portuguese, a estrada de chão.
So good. And the whole thing goes back to the dirt road. And I love
Yes.
that that's how it all started with the BNI group. You were like, well, in order for me to tell you about myself, I need to go back to the dirt road. Can you give us some highlights just so people have a general idea again of how far you've come in terms of where you grew up, where you used to live, going to school? Like those details are just so impactful, I think, and what makes your story so special, and why I recommend people read it because it's inspiring, but it's a real story, which is even better. Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburg.com/podcast guest for more information.
Yeah, so I was born in this very small town, which was a farm town. Um, and at least at that time, the town was like 100 people, maybe at that time. But I was born in a very poor family. We had nothing. I grew up with no plumbing system, no electricity, no, not even a bedroom for me and my siblings. As I was growing up, the house, I mean, we call a barn and not a house. It was like three things. Not, I don't know how to describe, but it was like one room that we call kitchen, another one that would be my parents' bedroom, and another one for me and my siblings. And I'm one of 11.
Wow.
Yeah, so obviously my youngest siblings, they when they were born, and then we were in different situation, but economic situation. But when I was born, we had nothing. We didn't even have plates and forks and knives to eat. We took turns to eat because we didn't have it. We didn't have a, a water glass. So my father would buy a can of something at the supermarket sometimes, and then that we would make a water glass. Um, I walked 5 kilometers to go to school, 5 to go, 5 to come back. Then we'd get home and then walk 3 more kilometers to go to the farm, and then work the whole day in the farm, and then come home and do my homework with kerosene lamp. And then the next day, all over again. And it was a very, very difficult childhood. Um, and then I also had an alcoholic father that was a good man in so many ways, but had the disease of alcohol. And it was really, really challenging and difficult. And but the same man that was alcoholic, it was a man that inspired me to be who I am today.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to hear the way you talk about your dad in the book. And yeah, I think there are so many elements, even if people haven't gone through what you have gone through, that are so touching and encourage reflection in reading your book. So I definitely encourage people to go check out The Dirt Road. I'll have the link here for Amazon in the show notes for people to go check it out. Now, I know the initial idea in publishing the book was to have the backstory for the younger part of your family. But now that the book is also in English and people are reading it, I know how it's impacted me. But what is your hope? What do you hope people get out of reading your personal story?
Yeah, as you said, my initial idea was to write for my nephews and nieces, and I want to inspire them to do better things and think big, and don't be a victim of anything. Just um, work and do good, and that was my intention. But now uh, the book is out there, and it's been so amazing. People are reading and sending me messages, and it's been amazing. And if I can inspire one person that maybe it's going through some challenging times, or having a hard time with whatever, and then come across my book and read my story, and that person gets better and do a good thing to his or her life, I think it was worth what I went through to publish this book.
Yeah. And this is one of the main points that you make in your book, and we've talked about this many times. It's a lesson that your dad, and I've been telling you that I've been thinking about this in my own life after reading your book, the whole idea of doing good just because it's the right thing to do and not expecting anything in return from that person or from that situation. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Because you just kind of touched on it.
Yeah, my father was there are so many things that I learned with my father, but one of the things that we were so poor, he couldn't afford paying for our education, and he always told us that education was so beautiful. He would tell us stories that he would go to. Sometimes he would drive some neighbors, whomever asked him to drive to the courthouse, and he would see lawyers coming in and out of the courthouse, and he would come home and say, those lawyers, they are so educated. It's so beautiful to be educated. And it is something, I don't know if the translation will be what he really meant, but he would say something like, um, nobody can take anything away from you if you are educated. You can open doors and nobody can close it. And that as a kid resonates with me. I want to be those lawyers, whomever they are. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. And he also was he had a good heart. We had absolutely nothing. And if someone came to the house and need food, he would share whatever we had. And he taught us that no matter how little you have, you can always share. And that stays with me forever. And I try to be a good person and share what I have. And sometimes sharing is not necessarily financial, but you can share your wisdom, you can share your time, you can share your happiness, and you can do small things to help others. And that's all I learned with my father.
It's beautiful. It makes me emotional too.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
really sorry, but every time I talk about my dad, that's always happy because he was my inspiration. Despite all the struggles and the problems, and he was a very difficult man. And I was not born, I was raised with tough love. But I got all the good things that my father taught me. Whatever was not good, I didn't take it. Like the alcohol part, for example, I have never drank and I don't like alcohol. And I never want those that whatever was not good from my father I didn't want, but whatever was good, I want for my life. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing, for being vulnerable, not only here, but with your book, because, like I said, it's a very inspiring and a story, but also it encourages reflection in our own lives, because most of us, I would say, have had some kind of difficult relationship with a parent or with a family member. So those are good reflections to have, to take the good, right? And leave
Yes.
the bad and to be grateful for the things that you have. Now, I know that you stumbled upon this world of, sharing your story, being an author. Like I said, it's a little bit different from a lot of what I see in the coaching world or in the entrepreneurship world, where, you're a coach and then you publish a book kind of teaching some of the principles. You've had your business in medical billing, and then you went out and you said, I want to share my story. It's been amazing to see from my end how many people are supporting you. You had a book signing recently, and about 100 people showed up, and some of the people that were mentioned in the book showed up, so you were able to recognize them there as well. How was that experience for you?
Oh my God, it was amazing. The family of doctors that I mentioned in the book, and they are what I call my adopt family in the United States, and my adopt mother was there, and her daughter, whom I started the business with, and she's still my client 20 years later. And another client that he helped also to grow my business, and he was there, and friends and my extended family from my husband's side, and friends and friends of friends, and it was amazing. It was an afternoon of joy and happiness, and I also had some friends from the BNI group.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was so nice to let them know that, the started with them, the
Yeah,
idea of writing the book. It was amazing. It was amazing.
it's a big reunion.
Yes, yes.
So fun. I love that. Well, what's next? Now that you've put this out there, you're doing more podcast interviews, your story is getting shared more and more. Where are you taking this? What are you hoping to do?
Well, maybe a second
Hmm.
book.
Ooh, interesting. About what? Do you have some ideas?
Well, in general, and I think throughout my story, I talk about family, friends, and faith. And maybe my next book will be about this 3 Fs: family, faith, and friendship.
So more on the lessons and the principles that you can elaborate on coming from your personal story.
Yes.
I like that. Interesting. So everybody will stay tuned. Well, before I have you share how people can connect with you, I always like asking all of my guests my $1 million question.
Oh boy.
So Janete, what is an empowered woman then?
An empowered woman is someone who's resilient, independent, someone who works hard, and someone who shares. A woman that has wisdom and courage to share whatever she knows with other people. And I think that's a beautiful thing, to know things and be able to share with others. I think that's an empowerment in my view.
It really is. And I think you just described yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Empowered woman. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. How can people connect with you? Where do you hang out the most on social media?
I'm not a really social media person, but I check more often the Instagram than other social media. And Instagram is JCTB. J is in Janet, C is on cat, T is on Tom, B is on boy, 1971. And then my website, janeteparente.com.
Amazing. Well, I'll make sure and put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends, or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.